Magic of Passive Voice.
I love that title.
Right, super catchy. It features a teacher named Emma and her very curious student, Leo.
And they basically tackle this head on, like, what's the deal with this passive voice thing?
Exactly. Leo's all like, people keep saying the cake was eaten, but like, by who? And honestly, that question pretty much sums up the whole mystery surrounding passive voice.
It does. Like, why not just say who ate the cake? What's the point of saying it like that?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to figure out today. We'll look at what passive voice is, when and why we use it, and how common it is in everyday language.
So, by the end of this deep dive, you'll be like a grammar detective, spotting these passive sentences everywhere and understanding exactly what they're doing. Ready to become grammar detectives.
Let's do it. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is passive voice?
Yeah, good point. Lay it on us.
Okay, so basically, passive voice is when you structure a sentence in a way that puts more emphasis on the action itself rather than the person or thing doing the action.
Okay, so instead of focusing on who did it, we focus on what happened.
Exactly. Emma uses the example, the window was broken. The focus is totally on the broken window, the event itself. It doesn't really matter who broke it.
I see. So it's not about who broke the window, it's just about the fact that the window is broken.
Exactly. And that's a pretty significant shift from how we usually talk. In active voice, we'd probably say, Tom broke the window, putting the focus directly on Tom, the doer of the action.
Right. Active voice is like Tom did it. Passive voice is like something happened to this window.
Exactly. And by shifting that focus, we open up a whole bunch of reasons for why we might choose to use passive voice.
Okay, this is getting interesting. So how do we actually build these passive sentences? Is there like a formula?
There is. Emma breaks it down really clearly. It's object plus be verb plus past participle plus by plus doer.
Okay, maybe an example would help.
Absolutely. Remember Emma's example? The song was sung by Leo.
Okay, I see. So the song is the object. It's the thing that the action happened to. Was sung is the be verb in past tense plus the past participle of sing. And by Leo tells us who did the singing.
Right. That by plus doer part is optional, though. Often in passive voice, we don't even mention who did it.
Right, because sometimes it's not important. Or maybe we don't even know who the doer is.
Exactly, like in this, the treasure was found. We might not know who found it, but the important thing is that it was found.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. So is passive voice always this serious? Can it be, like, fun?
Oh, absolutely. In the ElovesEnglish script, Emma and Leo have a blast coming up with some hilarious passive sentences.
Oh, yeah. Give us some examples.
Like, the homework was done by the cat,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
or the pizza was stolen by aliens.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm totally going to use that one.
And they even have one that's just like, the room was cleaned magically.
That's so great. I love how these examples show that grammar can be playful and fun.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be all dry and boring rules. But it's not always just for laughs, is it?
No, definitely not. So beyond these fun examples, where else does passive voice come in handy?
Well, one really important use is when we want to be polite or diplomatic.
Ooh, interesting. How does that work?
Think about it. Instead of saying, you made a mistake, which can sound kind of accusatory, you could say, a mistake was made. It just sounds softer, right?
Oh, I see. It takes the focus off of whoever messed up.
Exactly. The emphasis is on the mistake itself, not on the person who made it. It can really help to smooth things over.
That's actually really helpful. I can see how that would be useful in, like, a work environment or something.
Absolutely. It's all about being a bit more tactful. Now, beyond funny sentences and diplomacy, where else do we run into passive voice in everyday life?
That's a great question. I'm curious to hear what Emma and Leo have to say about that.
They actually give some great examples. One area where we hear passive voice all the time is in news reports.
Oh, that's true. Like, the president was seen leaving the White House.
Exactly. Or the treasure was found in a cave. We don't necessarily need to know who saw the president or who found the treasure. The important thing is the event itself.
Right. The focus is on what happened, not on who did it.
And think about instructions. Emma uses the example, the cake should be baked for 30 minutes. The focus is on the baking process, not on who's doing the baking.
Right. It doesn't matter who's baking. The cake still needs to be baked for 30 minutes.
Exactly. And we see the same thing on signs, like no smoking or phones are not allowed. The rule is the important thing, not who's enforcing it.
So basically, passive voice is all around us. We just might not have realized it before.
It's like a secret code once you learn to recognize it.
I love it. Okay, so we've got a pretty good handle on what passive voice is and why we use it. Now let's talk about some things to keep in mind when trying to understand or even use passive voice.
Great idea. Emma lays out some really helpful tips in the Loves English materials.
Okay, let's dive into those tips. Hit me with tip number 1.
Okay, so remember that be verb in the passive voice formula. It changes depending on the tense of the sentence.
Oh, that makes sense. So but it's not always just was.
Nope. For present tense, it would be is, like the car is washed. For past tense, it's was, like the car was washed. And for future tense, it's will be, like the car will be washed.
Okay, so the be verb tells us when the action happened. Got it. What's the next tip?
Here's a big one. Not all verbs can be used in passive voice. Only verbs that take an object can be flipped into passive. These are called transitive verbs.
Okay, what's a transitive verb?
It's a verb that has a direct object, meaning the verb is doing something to something else, like in a song was sung, song is the object of the verb sung.
I get it, but you couldn't say he has slept because sleep doesn't have an object. He's not doing sleep to anything.
Exactly. So you can only use verbs that have an object.
Okay, transitive verbs only. Got it. What's the final tip?
This one's a bit more casual. Sometimes in informal English, we use get instead of be to form the passive voice.
Oh, yeah, like he got fired instead of he was fired.
Exactly. It's less formal, maybe a bit more emotional, like got broken, sounds more accidental than was broken.
Right. It's like, oh, no, it got broken versus, interesting, it was broken.
You got it.
Yeah.
So just be aware that get can sometimes sneak in there in casual conversation.
Okay, so much good stuff about passive voice today. It's amazing how much we've learned from just one Loves English script. Let's take a minute to recap everything.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so passive voice is all about putting the focus on the action and what it happened to, not on the doer.
And we use it for all sorts of reasons. For humor, like the pizza was stolen by aliens. For diplomacy, like a mistake was made.
And even in everyday situations like news reports, instructions, and signs, it's everywhere.
Totally. And remember those key takeaways. The be verb changes depending on the tense. Only transitive verbs can be used in passive voice. And get can sometimes stand in for be in informal settings.
Perfect. Now, we want to encourage you to really engage with what you've learned. Emma, in the Loves English material, challenges Leo to come up with his own silly passive sentences. Why not give it a try?
It's actually a great exercise. Think of some crazy scenarios and try describing them using passive voice. It'll help solidify your understanding, and it's fun.
Yeah, and it'll make you more aware of the choices you have when you're writing or speaking. You can choose to emphasize certain things and de-emphasize others, all by choosing active or passive voice.
Exactly. It's all about being in control of your language.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to chew on. Now that you're aware of passive voice, pay attention to how it's used in the world around you. Notice what's being emphasized and what might be left unsaid. It can really give you a deeper understanding of the information you're taking in.
Totally. You might be surprised at what you discover. Happy grammar detective.
Happy detective.